Guess what we're doing today is the plaster of Paris and my silicone mold and my sign giving you any hints. Yes, we are going to start making our fall sweet treats. So I'm going to get my plaster of Paris mixed together, and for those that are new here, what it is the DAP plaster of Paris, and it is 2 parts of the plaster of Paris to 1 part cold water. All right, now I don't know how far that's going to get us on these pieces, but we'll see how far the one batch gets us. Okay, so for anyone that's new to my channel and hasn't watched me do faux desserts before with my plaster of Paris, once you get the 2 parts plaster of Paris to the 1 part cold water, and you can see I keep one of these quart measuring containers for this, and my utensils are for this. This is already starting to thicken. You don't have much time, but you got to make sure that it's all incorporated, okay? All right. So I'm going to start pouring these, and like I said, I don't know how much this is going to well, it's not going to be much at all, actually, and I'm not even going up to the full line. It only did 3, and like I said, that's not up to the full line, but that's okay because they can all be different thicknesses. But I'm going to go ahead and mix one more pretty well filled. What I did is I made another batch, but I decided to fill more of what I had poured originally, and it only made 1 more. So I'm going to wait, and I'm going to work with what I have first to see how well this works with the silicone, because I've always been into, for the most part, the like the candy molds, the clear ones, not silicone as much. So I'm going to go ahead and let these dry. This will take about 24 hours, but I do have 4 either pie slices or cake slices, whichever way you're going to want to use them, and then we'll come back and we will decorate them. I also want to tell you, all for the people that have not watched me before, when you're working with plaster of Paris or spackle, whatever, always go outside and wash your containers. Don't wash them in your sink. Go outside to wash these, because you don't want this to build up and plug up anything in your sinks, okay? That's just a disclaimer from me. Always go outside and do it as soon as you're done pouring, because it's a lot easier to get out. You guys, I'm loving this silicone baking dish. Okay, remember we put the plaster of Paris, it's the next day, and look at how easy these pop out. Now, this could be your pie. You can make it into a cake piece. Once I'm done with these, you'll never know it was plaster of Paris, okay? But now what I want to do, and you wouldn't have to do this if you didn't want to, I want to get these out, but I don't want it to fall on the, I don't want them to break. Plaster of Paris breaks pretty easy, so you got to be careful. There's another one. Oh my gosh, I love this. And what I love about it is you can do so many at once. I can do 8 pieces if I so choose, but I only did 4 because it does take a lot of plaster of Paris, you guys. I used 4 cups of plaster and 2 cups of water just to get these 4, because it is deep. I mean, when you look at these, now you wouldn't have to fill them so deep, but be pretty thin if you didn't. Okay, so then all you do, and I'll put this in the trash, and I'll just wash this out with the hose and then come in and wash it with soap and water. But anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean this up, and I'm going to make, because I want these are going to be pie slices, I want crust, okay? Now you don't have to, you could just decorate it and put some whipped cream up here, but I do want crust on these, at least a couple of them, so I'm going to use my air dry clay. I'm going to kind of use this as my pattern, and then I'm going to put it here so it gets a little bit of the ridge and I have something to pinch on. But I'll be back in a minute and show you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this out and kind of, not soften it because it's already softened, because I keep it in a Ziploc bag as well as keeping the lid on. And you can get this anywhere. I got mine at Hobby Lobby. You can get it at Michael's. Anywhere. It's kids' Crayola air dry clay. And it's very soft, as you can see, and I've had it now for quite some time. But I'm going to get out my wax paper and my rolling pin, and I'll be back. Okay, I got out one of my cutting boards, and I'm putting a piece of wax paper. You can use parchment paper if you want. It's regular wax paper. I think I got this at Dollar Tree or Walmart. Anyway, one or the other. And since I'm using my rolling pin that I really use for cooking, I don't want it hitting the clay, so I'll put the wax paper over the clay when I'm rolling it. Okay, got what I needed. Going to put the wax paper over it. I have my tin, and this is what I use when I do my faux pies, guys. I use these disposable, and you can get, I get mine at Walmart. You get 3 in a pack, and I think it was $1 something. Very inexpensive. Okay, so let's roll. And I don't want the pie crust really, thick. It's that time of year I'm gonna be making pies. It is getting to be that time, guys. Can you believe it? We'll be making our pumpkin pies, our apple pies. You can make your mincemeat pies. I don't like it. My grandmother used to make mincemeat. Oh, I tried so hard to like it. I never could. All right, I'll be back once this is rolled out. Okay, so I have it rolled out. I think to the thickness I want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these pieces of what's going to be our pie, okay, and I'm going to leave enough room. I'm going to turn here so you can see it, because I want to be able to bring it up like you would a pie crust, right? Bring it over here a little bit. Then I'm going to take the knife. So I'm just going to, because I don't want anything else coming up, right? I just want that little piece of crust down here. I'm going to take it from here, and I'm just going to mold it a little bit to our piece of pie. I'm going to take the, now this is where the pie tin comes in, okay? Deliberately, because I want it to dry this way. Well, really, you don't even need it, but I'm going to keep it in here. Okay, so take that off. And there you go. There's your pie slice, okay? Like I said, you don't have to put the clay. If you just want to do it without the clay, that's your call. But I do want my pies to have a crust. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest, and I'll be back when I'm done. Okay, I'm done with the clay. I burped it. Remember with Tupperware how you'd burp them, you open it up and you let the air out? Putting it in a Ziploc bag, because you want to keep it fresh because it's air dry, hence the word air. If air gets into it, it's going to dry out. So you want to keep it moist, and that's how I do it. All right, let's look at the, anyway, we're going to let those dry. When they're dry, then we're going to come back and we'll complete them with paint and spackle. Okay, we have our pumpkin pie slices done. The plaster Paris is done. we put our air dry clay to make the pie crust, and now we're going to paint it. And I mixed again the Waverly pumpkin and folk art terracotta and some brown. So let's start painting these. I'm only going to do a couple, maybe even one on camera, and then I'll do the rest because we made 4 off camera. And the crust obviously is going to be a different color. And when I get to that point, I will show you the colors. But we just want to get in as far as we can. And it's your preference if you want to do the crust first. The reason you see that, how I accidentally went on that, if I do this first, it's really not a big deal, because when I go back on this, I'm going to use a thinner brush. And I have the white spackle for the whipped cream that I'll put on top. Okay. I think I just will do the pie itself with 2 of them first. And then after all the pie has been painted, then we'll go on to the crust. Okay, I'm going to keep going on this, and when I'm done with all 4 pieces, we'll go on to the crust. Okay. So we have our pie painted, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these dry. I put 2 coats on, and then we'll get our paint together and we'll do the crust. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint the crust, and what I did is I used milk chocolate, the Americana, the cinnamon from Folk Art, and a white from Folk Art. And you just mix it until you like what you see. And that really is what you do. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with a little antiquing, like I did my pie that I made, the pumpkin pie last year. And we're going to antique it, and I'll antique the whole thing with a brown, very light antiquing. Then you might want to get a smaller brush to do the sides of the crust. Just depends on how good you are with, you know, the paintbrush. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. I'm just going to do these 4 pieces, and then when I'm done with this, we'll put the whipped cream on, and we'll be done with our pumpkin pie slices. And not to worry, I will be doing different pie slices of different kinds. And I'll do the detail work off camera. You don't need to watch me do that. So I will be back when these are done. Okay, so now we have the pumpkin pie and the crust all done. Okay. So I'm going to let that dry just a little bit more, and then we're going to antique this a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little of this walnut gel stain from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to antique these pieces of pumpkin pie. And then after I'm done antiquing, we'll put the whipped cream on, and we'll be done with these. Now you just want a little bit, you don't want a lot. So I'll do the first one. I'm going to put some of this stain on my wax paper. I just love antiquing the faux food, especially, well, I should say the pies. I don't know why, I just like the look that it gives. Okay, let me wipe some of that off real quick. I'm just going to take a damp piece of a paper towel. See, I'm just taking a little bit of that off. And just do it lightly because you don't want to break off any of the pieces of crust. Okay, now I'm just going to antique the pie itself. And you don't have to do this. This is completely optional, but I like it, the look of it. And I'll show you the difference when I'm done here. Again, I'm wiping off the majority of it, but it'll stay in the nooks and crannies of where I want it to be. Do the sides. And again, like I said, this is completely optional. Okay. All right. Okay, so here's one that's antiqued. I think you could see it better just if I put it next to one another. It's not a huge difference, but there is a difference in it. So I'm going to continue to antique these and then we'll put the whipped cream on. Okay, so let's put now the whipped cream on top. Okay. There are your pumpkin pie slices. I hope you'll try this. It's very easy and very inexpensive. And I will show you where I'm going to put these. Okay, everyone, here are the pumpkin pie slices in my dining room. I think they turned out really, really cute. Guys, I hope that you'll try this. You saw how easy, it's very inexpensive, but it adds a really cute piece of decor to your fall home. Until we get together again, remember the world's a better place because you're in it. Don't ever, ever forget that. Talk to you soon. Bye.